the Daily Kebab. Greetings, Muttonistas. I promised you yesterday that the food content of the Daily Kebab would be a lot better, and so it has already proved, even though I haven't even got onto my kebab yet. I'm in the Taksim Square area of Istanbul, probably the most modern, iconic area of Istanbul. I'm chowing down on a plate of stuffed mussels with rice, a kind of local favourite snack over here, and getting away from that Sultan Ahmet area has proved to be a real boon, because I found 1,000,001 things I could have already brought to you, Muttonistas. Anyway, the plate's half eaten because I was actually in the middle of filming for one of my long videos about Istanbul, but I thought since they're actually that tasty, I ought to bring you them as a little appetizer before the main kebab of the day. It was a bit of a minefield trying to work out where to go, because this little alleyway in Istanbul, which I'll show you afterwards, is absolutely teeming with fishmongers and fish restaurants or fish street food stalls. Anyway, I've given these a good squeeze of citrus, which is always in this country is of the highest quality. That is really rather nice. Pleasant change to the one-dimensional preparation of moule marinière, which I like, but I don't like to have my mussels prepared that way 100% of the time. And since I'm enjoying such a jolly splendid time here, Muttonistas, I thought I may as well give you my predictions for tomorrow whilst I'm here, and in such a cracking good mood. Now, we start off tomorrow with Group H, which is the group involving Portugal against South Korea and Uruguay against Ghana. Now, any of the three teams behind Portugal could qualify, who are already through, and Portugal will be playing South Korea. I don't know how much resting will be going on there. It's kind of likely that they'll come first, because Ghana will need to overturn a fair amount of goal difference as well as winning against Uruguay. South Korea could go through still, but would need the result in the other game to go through. I think Portugal will rest a few and keep a few, and in my opinion that will result in a 1-1 draw. South Korea, who'd been looking awful going forward, did awfully well to get back to 2-2 after having been 2-0 down, but then criminally switched off at the back, and now they're in real trouble. Then we have Ghana against Uruguay. This promises to be a spicy and probably bad-tempered affair. If you remember some years ago, I can't remember which World Cup, Luis Suarez handled a ball to stop it going in the last minute. I think it was Asamoah Gyan or somebody missed the penalty. That would have put Ghana through, and extra time was played and Uruguay went through on penalties. And the repercussions of that have not ended. The Ghanaians call Luis Suarez the devil incarnate, and I suspect both sides won't be reticent to put a slow late foot in. For that reason, I'm going to go for 0-0 here, which should be good enough for Ghana unless the Koreans get an incredible result against Portugal. Also, wouldn't shock me if there's a red card in this one as well. Uruguay, as I've said before, look old, tired, slow and very uninspiring. Yes, they've got the quality, but they haven't got the pace to match it. And on next to the last group, which is Brazil, Cameroon, Serbia and Switzerland. Brazil are already through. They'll probably rest a few, but they do actually have quite a deep squad. Cameroon, again, sort of okay at the back for the first game, all over the place in the second game, and suddenly found their shooting boots. I am going to go for a 2-2 draw here, because I think Brazil will have the firepower to score, and because they're resting players, Cameroon will be able to score against them. And finally, Serbia against Switzerland. Now, this is probably going to be the decisive game in the group. In the first match, Serbia looked as if they couldn't score in a million years, but then again, they suddenly found their boots and scored 3 times against, admittedly, a rather bleaky Cameroonian side. Serbia, I think, actually aren't too bad at the back, although they lost the plot having gone 3-1 up, and I think that is going to cost them their spot in the last 16. Those Swiss players, well, again, they're another bunch of Scottish accountants if they get in front, and I think they will. So I'm going to give this one 1-0 to Switzerland. So, predictions there for you. Before we go on to our kebab of the day, let me just show you around the area a little bit. Now, in case you want to eat where I've just eaten, if you happen to be in the area, we have just eaten at Nevizade Kokorec Midye Tava. I think midye means mussels. And you can see they're also making mackerel sandwiches as well. In fact, the whole street does seem to be wall-to-wall seafood places. Seafood restaurants and fishmongers for people who want to take stuff home. So it's usually quite a reliable guide if people are buying stuff to take home because they must be locals. I mean, you're not going to take a mackerel fillet back to your hotel room to cook, are you? And this is basically where East meets West, where modern meets traditional. Those old alleyways full of traditional fish places. And now, just turn around the corner and we're in the modern shopping area of Istanbul. I hope this isn't the place where the bomb went off the other day. And something else I should add for people visiting here, change your money at these money changers stores. You'll need a little bit at the airport, but don't try and change too much there. You'll get a better rate here. And whilst you can pay by card in a lot of places, cash is still king in many parts of Istanbul. You need to keep some cash on you. And Muttonistas, even on one of the biggest and most modern shopping streets in Istanbul, you're never far away from a doner. Now, Muttonistas, having had our little, shall we say, dodgy kebab and kebab failure yesterday, I promised you a proper kebab. Now, have a look at this for a proper kebab. Is that big enough for you folks? Or, if not, how about this? And if that's not big enough, then this. You know, I have no idea which stall to choose from. And before you say, oh, mutton, you've already had a doner on this trip, don't worry, there'll be something original a little later. I'm only going to have a small one, so Muttonistas, we get to do a bit of double dipping today. Of course, another problem, which stall to choose from. So I'm going to do a meat juice inspection and base my choice on which spit looks to be the juiciest and has the most fat dripping off it. So he heats the bread on the little fire that's heating the kebab. How much? 50? Yep, sod's law, it's raining heavily, but kebab in hand. Oh yeah, that is so juicy, and the pickles again. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The contrast between the fatty meat and the pickles is awesome. No sauce needed with a kebab like this. And of course, as usual, when they talk about meat, they're talking about beef here. And if you have a look, it's actually quite small. And I have to say, the cost, even though it's in a very, very popular area in the most expensive city in Turkey, still only 50 Turkish lira, which is about £2.20. And if you want chicken, it's about 2/3 of the price, about £1.50. Right, Muttonistas, it's the interval between the two games, and I've just watched the most absurd display of finishing by Romelu Lukaku for Belgium. He had 3 absolute sitters and 1 admittedly difficult chance. Belgium just needed that 1 goal to get through, but boy, was he all over the place. It was a cameo worthy of Andy Cole. I predicted a 1-0 win to Croatia there, it wasn't far off. The Croatians actually didn't do very much after their penalty shout, and to be honest, it's hard to see them going any further unless they improve dramatically before what is a likely encounter with Spain. That is the end for Belgium's golden generation. I really don't think most of them have a European Championship left in them even. And I have to say, they looked good when they pulled their fingers out in the last 20-25 minutes, but why it took them so long to get going is beyond me. Okay, so while we don't know what the results of the second round of games are yet, I think Germany are the likely team that are going to face the group winners from this group, Morocco, who beat Canada 2-1. The goal was flashed up on the television I was watching, or at least the first one was, and it was gift of the century. It was goalkeeping you probably wouldn't even see in Scottish League Division 2. A ball won by the Canadian defender, passed back to the keeper, passed straight over to Hakim Ziyech, who did quite coolly lob him and put the Moroccans on their way to winning the group. Anyway, on to our real kebab of the day, the bonus kebab. And I'm taking you now to somewhere that I've actually shot at already on this trip in one of my long videos. It's called the Şehzade Cag Kebap, CAG. And what this is, you've seen the vertical donors, this is a horizontal doner, but it's made out of lamb and not beef. I have to say, it's possibly the best kebab I've had so far on this trip, so it's worth a second visit for you Muttonistas. The only problem is, though, getting a table. Everybody's standing and waiting, and with good reason. Look at that bad boy there being carved away. So this is a one-dish restaurant. If you want anything other than that Cag Kebab, go somewhere else because it's all you're going to get here. But boy, is it worth it. Tiny menu, soup, salad, the Esme hot tomato dip, yogurt and the kebab, or you could have the kebab in a sandwich. So already my sides have arrived. I ordered the salad. I quite like the Esme tomato dip and the onions with sumac, which are always great with any sort of kebab. And incidentally, the salads here tend to be dressed with lemon and olive oil. I'm not actually sure about the halal status of vinegar. I have a suspicion that wine vinegar is questionable, but balsamic might be all right. But this is a nice way to dress a salad anyway. Fresh and tasty, as you'd expect. And the tomato dip. Yeah, that's on good form. It's a little salty and not that spicy, so won't blow your head off, but if you're obsessed about salt, maybe you want to avoid this. And to wash it down, our old favourite, I ran the slightly salted yogurt drink. I'm excited, and so you should be Muttonistas. These kebabs have arrived. Here we are, the Cag Kebab, CAG. Now, I think the done thing is to rip it off with some bread. A rich tender cut of fresh cut lamb, which has been layered so all the fat and the juice melds together. I do like my doner, but this is the daddy. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this and then go and watch the later matches and see whether Spain and Germany get through as I expect. Well, what a nutty group this is. About 10 minutes to go, no, maybe 15, and the qualifying spots in this group keep changing hands. I'm nearly choking on my Turkish tea here. Well, what have we just seen there, Muttonistas? I'm sat at a pub that's popular with Arab customers, so we've got a passionate Arabic commentator, and after Lukaku's firing of blanks earlier in the day, you wouldn't have thought it could get more dramatic, but it did. At one stage, Costa Rica and Japan were winning these games, and both Germany and Spain were going out. But Germany did recover to win, and the match I was watching, Spain against Japan, against Spain, they got themselves ahead and they got lost again. I don't know what's gone wrong there, but it's happened twice in 2 games, and they were caught being sloppy in possession, turned over the ball and allowed Japan to break away twice. Now, I have to say that the second goal, I think the ball went over the line. I know it was VAR to death, but a lot of the press photographs I've seen, unless they've all been doctored, made it appear as if the whole of the ball went over the line. That hasn't affected Spain too much, because when it comes to playing Morocco or Croatia in the next round, it's neither here nor there. But the team it has rogered is Germany, who probably should have gone through. Spain have to go back to the drawing board here and sort out these sloppy transitions in midfield, because they have a team who could win the event, but if they keep doing that, they'll keep getting picked off. Well done to Japan, they've got a good team. They've got some talent, no outstanding individual talent, but they're well organised and their tactics are pretty sound. They knew what they were doing, trying to catch Spain in possession, which is exactly what they did. And it's bizarre, how can a team beat Spain and Germany and lose to Costa Rica? The mind really does pop. But I say they are a danger to any team that comes onto them. Spain needed to get a second. They drifted and they did the same thing against Germany. I suspect they might find Croatia a little bit more awkward because Croatia, they don't actually attack as much as certainly Spain, and probably not as much as Germany either. These last games in each group have been utterly bonkers apart from the first day. Let's hope there's more of this. But until then, folks, let's hope for another exciting day tomorrow. And that was your Daily Kebab.